Hello, this is Scott. So we're continuing on with our hands-on Statistica series, this time industrial statistics. We've been doing 3 or 4 of these with control charts, and this time we're going to focus on brushing and assigning causes and actions. Just so that you know, there's a variety of different ways to do this within Statistica. We're doing a very simple, interactive way of handling this data. So we're going to use the same data set that we used previously, which is this covers data set. And if you'll remember, there are 60 rows here. There's 3 observations per sample. We're going to use X-bar charts here, X-bar and R charts. So I'm going to select the QC charts. And one of the things that you need to do if you run into problems with your brushing is make sure that this box under real time is checked here, because again, Statistica, you can connect data real time into it, and we even have monitoring and alerting service which does a lot of these functions simultaneously, automatically updated in real time. So if you have a problem, just make sure that that's checked if you want to follow along with what I'm doing today. So the variables that we're going to be using, we're just going to use width. And again, as I said, we have 3 observations per sample. I'm going to make the minimum observations 3 as well. I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to get my control charts just like we did previously. All right. And so what I want to do is I want to investigate these out of control issues. So we have a variation problem here in the R chart at sample 2, and then we have actually an out of control issue with observation number 19 in the X-bar chart as well. So let's look at how we would use the brushing technique within Statistica to look at these observations. So if I go to the panel here, and if I'm in the brushing tab itself, what I can do is I can just click automatically on this out of control samples, and you'll see that I've up here in this slider, I've actually now automatically selected 2 and 19. And so those are my out of control samples. And so if I want to see the individual points with that, I can actually click this checkbox right here, and it will show the individual points for those 2 samples. All right, so 3 per, and you can see the reason that I have a problem down here in my R chart is there's huge variation here between these 3 points, 1 really low and 2 very high. And then something's going on here with the X-bar chart, and then all 3 observations are low. So I want to figure out what's going on here with these observations. One other thing that I want to show you real quick is before we get into assigning causes is the show stats capability. So if I go to sample 19 and I want to look at an individual group, if I say show stats, this window will pop up as well, so I can see the individual stats. It's a nice option to have at times. So let's suppose that we did follow up on this, and that we found out that the problem with sample 2 is the fact that there's a measurement error due to a temporary gauge defect, and so it's been adjusted and seems to be working now and everything. So in sample 19, that was actually an operator that had been newly assigned to the process. So, and they weren't properly trained. So the operator's been assigned the proper training now. So we have that remedied. So how do we mark and how do we exclude these observations from the control chart itself? So one of the things that we can use is we can use this brushing option here, right? And I can do a lot. I can actually include the I can select a point, including the computations, etc. So if I select this point here, let me see. This point, if I hover over, I can see this individual point 19. If I click on it, then I actually select that point as well. So what I want to do is I want to assign a cause to those two problems, because we've identified what those are. So I'm going to, down here under the cause in the middle panel here, is I'm going to select a cause, and this will be the causes variable and the actions assigned, and I'll click OK there. I'll specify a new name, and we had a gauge problem, right? Gauge problem. And what I can do is that was actually 19. So for 19, what I actually have is, let me assign another potential cause. This is going to be operator error. I'll click OK. And I'll just click OK. So to assign these to the individual points, I've got 19 clicked on right now, and so 19 is going to be the operator error. So let me get that, and I'm going to assign it to the X bar R chart. I'm going to click OK to assign it, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab point 2, and I'm going to look at the cause, and I'm going to specify that that is a gauge problem, and I'm going to assign it to the the R chart there. So now I've got the actual problems assigned, and actually, if you look at the data is being updated simultaneously as well. And if I wanted to, I can also do the action, right? So we've actually corrected the with this gauge problem, we've actually corrected it, right? So we can specify a new action, and we can call that issue corrected. Oops. And then we can even assign that, and we can assign it, let's see, make sure that we've got, yeah, we're more on sample 2, issues corrected, and we want to do it on the R chart as well. So now we have the fact that that issue's been corrected as well. So lastly, quickly, what we want to do, let me just close this window, and we're going to look at ways to repopulate the line. So before I was showing you how to use this all out of controls, you can also do this manually. So point 2 is selected now, and if I hold the control key down and hit 19, just as many Windows commands, I can do that as well. If you look at this number, it was 100.08, and if I wanted to exclude the I want to exclude the this variable here, and you can see that it recomped to 100.25. And of course, I can, as I said before, I can do the show stats and look at the changes of that. Anyway, that gives you an idea of what's happening when I select that. Exclude these outliers. You know, it disjoins that. Also have an option here to exclude or drop the data from the graphs. So as you can imagine, hopefully you've been playing with this. There's lots of ways to do this. And with that, I'll conclude. Hope you join me next time. Thanks.